here's a list of the things that we found. Does this sound familiar? What is the CSB finding in our investigations? First of all, we're finding in hazard awareness that under PSM, process hazard analyses are incomplete. Easily accessed information is not being used, and operating personnel or technical experts are not being included. This is what I call really a shabby and a sloppy PSM implementation. Limited or no review of past incidents. That's supposed to be there, but it's not. Written procedures. Many of the procedures, those we found at BP, couldn't be used by the operator because they were out of date. So everyone had their own procedure for how to start this up. Training. There's little formal or structured training. Most of it is on the job. Now, if you've got 4 different operators, 4 different supervisors, and they all have a different way of running the equipment, who's training the operator on the right way? It's not reinforced. Even when there is good training, people are not being required to follow the procedures that are there if they're correct. There's little training or abnormal situation management. It's okay to know how to run the process when everything is going great, but don't you want somebody there who knows how to run the process when things are really going wrong? This operator continued to fill this tower for 13 hours. Critical equipment is not working or neglected. Now we're finding this. This is not BP, although we found this at BP. This is in almost all of our investigations. Maintenance requests are unfulfilled. What's your backlog of maintenance requests with regard to safety and critical operating backlog? Management of change procedures are not being followed or they don't exist. There's poor, no maintenance of safety systems, and supervisory oversight has deteriorated. One of the reasons is because they've been considered unimportant, and where you used to have good supervisors who came up through the ranks and understood when something was going wrong, what to do through experience, they're no longer there. And safety startup inspections just aren't happening. Emergency preparedness, and this really concerns me. Workers are unaware of hazards or emergency plans and how to address a hazard or an operating upset. Emergency response organizations are not prepared to respond at a site, or they have not planned for how they're going to help the public in an event. Incident investigations, they're just not happening. Not only aren't they happening, but people are not even recognizing when they're having an abnormal startup. If you think at this one piece of equipment at BP, they had 16 abnormal startups in a short period of time where there were high pressure overfills, and nobody paid attention and didn't even understand that this was an abnormal event. There's little or no investigation to find the cause of event, and there's no follow-up or corrective action, and they're not being used in PHAs. And audits, which are supposed to be the backup to make sure that this is happening, are paper exercises. They're superficial, they're not being done, there's no follow-up to them, and people don't recognize that the things they're seeing as abnormal situations in audits as a path to an impending disaster. Could it be that accountability, oversight, and resources are declining? How many of you think the answer is yes? And I tell you what, I get people come up to me from companies with names you hear every day who are telling me the PSM program is a shadow of its former self. Expectations that company are doing PSM and RMP well are overstated. And I want to tell you, Leo is exactly right. The Alliance program, I think, has failed. And I think it has set up a situation where companies are convinced in their own rhetoric that they're good companies, and therefore they have alliances, and therefore they don't need to do this stuff anymore. Fed and state oversight and enforcement is too weak. It's non-existent. How many of you think it's too weak? How many of you would appreciate to have OSHA come in with somebody who actually knew what you do to say, holy cow, you guys aren't doing PSM here very well? Well, here's a question. Is PSM and RMP compliance slipping? Is risk on the rise? I think we've got ourselves focused on lost time accident rate, and we are not focusing on the 800-pound gorilla that's sitting out here, which is an increased risk in catastrophic events. Here are our common findings. Now, I'm going to go through this quickly because my time's almost up. If any of you are interested in getting a copy of this, email me. Email me through CSB info, and I will email you a read-only copy of this. Here's our common findings. Abnormal events that are not investigated. If I could get you to do one thing when you go back and stir up to do abnormal event investigations. Recognize what they are. We go in and we find that there have been multiple warning events before a catastrophic event that have been ignored. And the thing that plaintiffs' attorneys love is that here are all the written documents that say that management knew or was warned. And the one that gets me, and you can do something about, is where you got safety committees and you're reporting things. You need to be bulldogs. Don't let those things go, and don't be placated into saying everything is fine. Don't worry about it. Worry about it. I think PSM has been a victim of its own success. There have been many years where we have gone without catastrophic incidents. And PSM has been combined and diluted. Staffing and funding has been cut. Management, a change, and mechanical integrity programs have been streamlined, and I should put those in quotation marks, and weakened, and near misses are ignored. What do you think needs to be done? That's the question I leave you with. You are a powerful force for change. And I applaud Mr. Gerard's comments that you're going to take this and be tougher about it. Because if you're not screaming, no one's going to scream for you. Because bonuses are being predicated on production. They're not being predicated on how many people are being killed in catastrophic explosions. So anyway, our lawyers would like you to know that they've just disavowed everything I've said. It's all my feelings, which I love this statement because I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking from my heart. And you are a powerful organization for change.